the most newsworthy part of this, Ryan, is the part about what she calls her own sex addiction and how she says she got this sex addiction. And this is the paragraph in which she mentions Joe Biden. I'm trying to get to the actual exact quote. I don't know if you have it in front of you. Okay, I've got it. I'm going to read this. It was from an entry January 30th, 2019, where she says, "I've always been boy crazy." She writes about some things she did when she was younger, which whatever. You can read all this on the internet. It's just, this is only my choice about what to report. She says, "I was hypersexualized at a young age. What is this due to? Was I molested? I think so. I can't remember the specifics, but I do remember trauma. I remember not liking the blank house at some family's house. I remember somewhat being sexualized with a female cousin. I remember having sex with friends at a young age. Showers with my dad, probably not appropriate. Being turned on when I wasn't supposed to be." And she goes from there. The showers with her dad, which she describes as probably not appropriate, is newsworthy. And it's especially newsworthy because it fits into a greater pattern of bizarre behavior by Joe Biden with young women that the media has also been reluctant to cover. What do you make of it, Ryan?
I think it's newsworthy in the sense that I think the public has a right to know that particular piece of information in there. I think some on the right have exaggerated its newsworthiness because by not noting that the ambiguities in it. Like I think, I'm not sure, probably inappropriate, and focus instead just on that one line. But I still think that that's for the public to work out. That is something that crosses the bar of newsworthiness, even as, whereas a lot of it isn't. Like a lot of like you said, like what she did as a kid or in high school or whatever with
or
friends,
in her marriage,
her marriage. None of that is the public. Does the public have a real right to? I'm just going to be honest. I do want to know more about showers with her father that she thinks were probably not appropriate, Joel. I think that's fair game. We've watched this. Ryan interviewed Tara Reid. I interviewed Tara Reid. Almost nobody else in the media would talk about Tara Reid, Joe Biden's sexual harassment accuser who came forward during the campaign. You can disbelieve her all you want. Fine, that's your prerogative. But that's newsworthy. The media completely snuffed out that story. He was also accused by another person of Lucy Flores of having touched her inappropriately. We had Betsy DeVos on the show not long ago. Betsy DeVos, the former education secretary under Trump, who said she was in a wheelchair at one point and Joe Biden came over, put his hands on the wheelchair, put his forehead down to hers and started rubbing her forehead. And she felt trapped and inappropriate. He's got a pattern of this. We've all seen the videos of him with a young girl sniffing the hair. And I'm sorry, it may make you feel uncomfortable, but it is worthy of discussion as to whether this guy's got a pattern of inappropriate behavior toward women, especially young ones.
I agree, and I think that's what makes it newsworthy. What's interesting is that Project Veritas decided not to publish it, despite its newsworthiness, for all the reasons you mentioned, as well as the fact that it did actually become part of the campaign in 2020 because Joe Biden was eventually pressured to come out and admit that he had been a touchy-feely sort of person. He didn't say toward women or younger women in particular. He just said, that's the way I am with everybody, with men and women, and I'm going to try to be different.
The Andrew Cuomo defense.
Right, exactly. So I think it's relevant from that point of view and newsworthy. The question is, from the perspective of Project Veritas, why wasn't it published? And we don't know the full answer to that. And from the limited reporting there's been about that, it appears that they made a strategic decision that it would look somewhat cheap, or it would be a cheap shot, they said, to publish that. And I guess then you have to look at it in terms of what the role of Project Veritas is. And I come from Breitbart, which is very open about its conservative views and conservative editorial standpoint. So there is a kind of advocacy journalism that strives to be accurate, but certainly has an agenda or an ideology. And Project Veritas decided that it would not be to their benefit or the benefit of the cause for which they do their journalism for them to publish this. Obviously, there were differences of opinion over that because it's now emerged that somebody at Project Veritas leaked the diary to another publication, hoping it would be published. I think it would have.
It was.
And I know we're going to get to that, but I think for a long time it wasn't clear whether Project Veritas had publicly made the decision not to publish, but then privately, secretly leaked to someone else so that it would come out. And I think we now know that wasn't the case, but I think it would have looked worse in terms of the case they're now facing, or they may face in the future from the federal government, if they had played this kind of double game where they're going to maintain a kind of moral stance in public about this kind of material and then in private leak it to other publications. It appears that didn't happen, and that there was actually an unauthorized leak.
I'm confused about the reasons, because as I recall, when James came on this show, he said the reason we didn't publish it is because we could never satisfy ourselves that in fact it was Ashley Biden's. That they had done a few things to try to confirm that, but they never got it to the point where he was comfortable saying.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah. Well, but can I just say, let me just finish and then I'll give it back to you.
Yeah.
But that now the New York Times is reporting that what actually happened was they did satisfy themselves that it was hers. They got her on the phone. Some of James's people, his journalists, got her on the phone saying, "Oh, we think we found it. We want to return it to you." And everybody involved felt that they had sufficient confirmation from her. She was like, "Oh God, yes, please give it to me," to proceed based on the assumption this did indeed belong to her. And then they report that James allegedly went to then candidate Joe Biden and wanted an on-camera interview with him in which he was going to present the diary. And that never happened. And then James did not publish it. And then James went down to the authorities in Florida and returned it, saying, "We believe it may be stolen property." And then 1 year later was raided. At this point, Joe Biden had become president. Have you ever had a friend who's just naturally talented at things? They pick up a sport, a hobby, or something, anything, and they immediately become good at it. They make it look super easy. Well, if you don't have that friend, it's you. And we're all secretly envious. The good news is, no matter who you are, you can make great food look easy with Good Ranchers. They source the highest quality meat in America, and they can prove it. Each piece of meat is from real American farms and hand cut and trimmed by real American workers. They only source from farms that meet their standards of excellence, which means no antibiotics ever and no hormones. Good Ranchers is so confident in the quality they sell that they have a 100% satisfaction guarantee on every box they ship to you. Plus, you can use my code MEGYN, my name Megyn, to get free shipping and $30 off your first order. This is America's best meat and seafood, sold by some of America's best people. They have won awards like Best Food Subscription, but their mission is still the same, bringing everyone to the table to share in the best of what makes life good. If you want the best, go with Good Ranchers. Visit goodranchers.com/Megyn to save an American meat delivered right to your door. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.